Today we're talking about something most men have never been taught properly: how to attract any woman, even if she isn't interested at first. Most guys see a woman they want, but if she shows the slightest bit of disinterest, no eye contact, closed body language, short responses, they instantly assume it's. They walk away defeated as if their tone moment defines everything. But it's not how women operate. Attraction doesn't always spark immediately. In fact, many times it needs to be triggered. Welcome back to the channel where men learn how to stop hoping for luck and start building real results. Because when it comes to attraction, you're not powerless. You're not at the mercy of random chemistry. Attraction is not a lottery. It's a response you can't quit. Women are emotional creatures. They're not always aware of why they feel drawn to a man. Often it's not his looks, money, or clever lines. It's how he carries himself, how he makes her feel, how he controls the energy between them. The reality is most women are waiting for a man who knows how to lead the interaction. That's what this video is about. You're going to learn exactly how to approach a woman who might not seem interested and flip the entire dynamic calmly, confidently, and without chasing or begging for attention. This is a skill every man can learn. And on Seodu, you'll realize just how much power you actually have. Let's begin. Before we start the video, I want to remind you that my exclusive online course on mastering the dating game is available now. If you've been learning from my YouTube videos, you're only scratching the surface. This course goes deeper, teaching you everything you need to know about the dating game, from approaching a woman to building. Number 1. Attraction isn't a choice. One of the biggest myths men believe is that women logically decide who they're attracted to, that if you check enough boxes, like having a stable income, being a nice guy, or meeting her stated preferences, she'll automatically feel desire. But attraction doesn't work like a job interview. It's not a checklist. It's an emotional, instinctive response that often happens without her even realizing why. That's why you'll see women gravitate toward men who don't match their so-called type. She might say she wants someone tall, successful, and polished, yet find herself drawn to someone who doesn't fit any of those criteria because he sparks something emotional in her. Attraction lives in the subconscious. It's not a choice she makes. It's a feeling that arises, often unexpectedly. And as a man, your real power lies in understanding this. You're not there to win her over by proving your worth. You're there to embody the kind of presence that triggers those emotional switches naturally. When you internalize this truth, everything changes. You stop chasing her approval. You stop treating interactions like tests you have to pass. Instead, you focus on cultivating calm confidence, emotional awareness, and grounded energy. Picture this: you walk into a coffee shop and notice a beautiful woman sitting alone. Most men would immediately think, what should I say to impress her? But that mindset puts you in a position of needing something from her, and that energy is felt instantly down now. Imagine instead, you approach with ease, sit nearby, and say something like, "This place always plays the weirdest music, but somehow I keep coming back." That small comment isn't about impressing her. It's not a compliment, and you're not trying too hard. It's playful, natural, and most importantly, it creates space for curiosity. She notices how relaxed you are. She feels your self-possession. You're not looking for permission, you're simply engaging in that calm presence. That's what opens a door to attraction. Here's the truth: women don't sit around consciously deciding to feel attraction. It gets triggered based on how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you manage the emotional tone of the moment. Once you stop trying to earn her interest and start creating emotional resonance, everything shifts, because when you no longer need her to feel something, she often does. And that's when real attraction begins. Number 2. Ignore her initial reaction. One of the most common reasons men lose opportunities with women is because they put too much weight on her first response. She looks away, offers short answers, maybe even seems cold or disinterested, and suddenly, panic sets in. They either shut down, start trying too hard, or begin spiraling into self-doubt. But here's the truth: her initial reaction means almost nothing. It's not a verdict, it's not even personal. In many cases, it's automatic, something women do either intentionally or unconsciously to read the emotional energy of the man in front of them. Think of it this way: when you approach a woman, you're stepping into her world without warning. She doesn't know you. She has no idea what your intentions are, or how emotionally secure you are. Her first reaction is rarely a reflection of whether she likes you. It's often a subtle way of testing your energy. And this is crucial. Women don't just want someone charming. They want someone emotionally grounded, someone who can stay centered even in the face of unpredictability. That's what these first reactions are really about. They're a way of measuring your emotional control. If you immediately become flustered or try harder to win her over, she sees that, she senses neediness, and that lowers your perceived value. But if you stay calm, relaxed, and unaffected, something powerful happens. You communicate, without saying a word, that you're confident in who you are. You don't need approval, and you're not controlled by someone else's mood and that energy. That's what begins to set you apart. Let's make it practical. Say you approach a woman, and she seems distant, maybe she barely looks up. Most men would either retreat awkwardly or overcompensate by trying to entertain her. But you keep your tone light, your energy calm, and your focus inward. You don't chase, you don't flinch, and you certainly don't assume anything. When you do this consistently, you trigger something deeper than surface level interest. You spark curiosity. She begins to wonder why you're not reacting like every other guy, why you're not rattled, why you're so composed. And that curiosity is often the first seed of attraction. You see, women may be emotionally intuitive, but they deeply respect emotional strength in a man. When you show her that you're steady, regardless of her mood or reaction, you become someone worth noticing. So next time you approach and she gives you cold energy, don't take the bait. Stay relaxed. Continue the conversation lightly if it feels right, and if not, simply move on with grace. When you learn to stop reacting and start observing, you shift the entire dynamic, and that's where real attraction begins. Number 3, make her feel unqualified. Most men spend their entire lives trying to prove they're good enough for women. They talk about their job, list their achievements, mention their car, their income, all with the hope that she'll see them as worthy. But here's the issue. When you're trying to prove your value, you're automatically placing her above you in the dynamic. And once that happens, attraction starts to fade. Why? Because women aren't drawn to men who chase validation, drawn to men who already value themselves. Now, let's be clear, this isn't about being rich, famous, or showing off. You don't need status to create that dynamic. It's about how you carry yourself when you walk into a room with quiet confidence, when you hold your boundaries, when you act like a man who has options and standards. You shift the emotional, the balance, and suddenly she's the one paying attention. Think about how most men behave around very attractive women. They become overly agreeable. They laugh at things that aren't funny. They avoid disagreeing, even when they don't really agree with her, all because they feel lucky to be there. And that energy, being overly accommodating, kills mystery. It kills challenge, and without challenge, desire can't grow. Here's the truth. Women are much more intrigued by men who feel just slightly out of reach. Not because they're aloof or dismissive, but because they carry a sense of inner value. A man who doesn't get easily impressed. A man who listens but doesn't protest. A man who invites her in but doesn't need her approval. When you create that space where she starts to wonder, does he like me? Am I enough for him? Am I his type? You trigger the emotional curiosity that drives attraction. And once that curiosity is activated, she becomes invested. She begins to want your attention, not because you demanded it, but because you made it feel earned. This doesn't mean you're cold or arrogant. It means you respond to surface-level qualities like status, attention from other men. With calm neutrality, you're not blown away. You're grounded. You're observing because you have standards to dot, and that subtle shift in energy, that's what makes you stand out. You're not chasing her. You're inviting her to show up, to engage, to impress you. When a woman starts to feel just slightly unqualified, she puts in effort. She leans in. And that emotional investment is what builds real attraction, not because you manipulated it, but because you reversed the roles that most men blindly play. So remember, you're not there to sell yourself. You're there to stay grounded in your worth, and let her discover that being chosen by you means something. Number 4, control the tempo. One of the greatest advantages a man can have when interacting with women is the ability to control the tempo. Most guys don't even realize how fast they move. They try to escalate too quickly, reveal too much too soon, or push for validation early on. This is how they lose control of the interaction before it even has a chance to develop naturally. Women are incredibly sensitive to pacing. From the very first moment, they pick up on whether a man is rushed or calm. And when you move too fast because you're eager for her attention, she feels it. That eagerness creates pressure, and the natural response is for her to pull back. Why? Because women feel safe and attracted to men who are in control both of themselves and the situation. A man who doesn't rush shows he's comfortable, experienced, and not desperate for an outcome. He lets the interaction unfold on its own time, creating stability and mystery. When you control the tempo, you send a clear message. I'm not in a hurry to impress you. I know my value. We'll see where this goes. that calm, steady energy, if it makes her feel she's dealing with a man who's been here before, who has options, and who doesn't need instant validation. Now, think about how most men behave. They compliment too soon, ask for her number quickly, or try to lock down a date after only a few minutes of small talk. That rush creates pressure, and women don't like to feel pressured because it interferes with their ability to develop genuine interest naturally. By controlling the tempo, you give her the space she needs to build curiosity and desire on her own. You create an emotional environment where she starts to invest emotionally. She begins to wonder about you, asks more questions, tries to capture your attention, and works to keep the interaction alive. That's when you know the balance of power has shifted. The man who controls the tempo never seems too eager. He gives just enough to keep her engaged, but holds back enough to remain intriguing. He understands that attraction grows over time, when there's space for tension and curiosity to build. When you master pacing, you're no longer reacting to her. Instead, she's reacting to you. And that's when attraction naturally deepens without you ever needing to push for it. Number 5. Be emotionally unavailable. Of the most powerful and often misunderstood ways to attract women is to be emotionally unavailable, but not in the way you might think. This isn't about being cold, mean, or completely closed off. Instead, it's about not giving her instant access to your emotions, vulnerability, or full attention before she's earned that place in your world. Most men make the mistake of opening up too early. They share too much, too soon. They let a woman feel like she's already inside their emotional life before the connection has been properly built. And when that happens, all the mystery, all the tension, all the chase disappears. Women want to feel like they're discovering you, like there's more beneath the surface to uncover. When you hand over your emotional world too quickly, you leave nothing left to explore and interest fades. Being emotionally unavailable means staying calm, composed, and just a little distant during those early stages. You don't get overly excited, you don't share your personal history or deepest feelings in the first few conversations. Instead, you let her wonder who you really are, what you're thinking, and what your intentions might be. That uncertainty, that subtle sense of mystery fuels curiosity, and curiosity is a powerful driver of attraction. Here's where many men slip up. They believe that opening up emotionally early will create closeness. And while emotional connection is essential in a relationship, it only develops after she's invested emotionally as well. If you offer emotional intimacy too soon, she may see you as someone who needs connection more than she doesn't. That shifts the balance of power. For example, imagine you're talking with a woman you've just met. The conversation flows, and she starts asking personal questions. Are you seeing anyone, or what kind of relationships have you had before? Most men hear this as a cue to spill everything, hoping it shows honesty and openness, but instead, you smile, stay relaxed, and say something like, I don't usually get into personal details this early. I like to keep some mystery alive. Say it lightly, confidently, and without defensiveness. What happens next? She becomes even more interested, because you've just set a boundary, and that boundary invites her to dig deeper. Women are naturally drawn to men who hold back a little because it signals strength and self-control. It shows that you're not emotionally needy or desperate for quick bonding. You have standards for who earns access to your emotions, and that makes her want to be the one who earns that deeper connection. Emotional availability is a gift you give after she's invested, not before. By holding your emotional cards close at the start, you create space for her to chase, to invest, and to desire that deeper bond with you. Remember, true attraction grows when mystery and emotional pacing are honored. You don't rush intimacy, you allow it to build naturally and powerfully. Number 6. Trigger. Her competitive instinct. Whether women admit it or not, competition plays a significant role in attraction. It's wired into human nature. Women don't just want a man who's attractive, they want a man who is desirable to other women. That desire creates social proof, and social proof triggers her competitive instinct. Many men think if they focus all their attention on one woman, shower her with compliments, and make her feel like she's the only option, she'll naturally be drawn in. But actually, that can lower your value in her eyes. The moment she feels like she has you fully locked in, her excitement can fade. When a woman senses that other women find you attractive, she becomes instinctively more interested, not because she's shallow, but because your value is confirmed by others. If other women want you, it signals that you possess qualities worth chasing. It taps into her natural desire to win a man who is sought after, not one who's easily secured. This doesn't mean you need to flaunt other women or try to make her jealous in a desperate way. In fact, trying too hard to create jealousy usually backfires. Instead, it's about carrying yourself like a man who has options, who naturally attracts attention, and who isn't desperate for anyone's approval. Women are highly intuitive. They can sense when a man is used to female attention in how he speaks, holds eye contact, and stays calm under pressure. A man who knows his value doesn't need to prove it. His vibe says it all. By triggering her competitive instinct, you create a subtle challenge. She starts wondering, what is it about him that makes other women interested? Am I good enough to capture his attention? Can I keep his interest? This internal dialogue pushes her to invest more energy into you, and the more she invests, the stronger her emotional attachment grows. When you hold yourself this way, you naturally create healthy competition in her mind without saying a word. You let her imagination do the work. She knows she's not the only one who could have you, and that makes her desire you even more. Attraction isn't always about logic, it's about emotional tension. When you subtly activate her competitive instinct, you add that tension effortlessly. You make her want to prove herself, stand out, and win you over. That's when her attraction deepens naturally. Number 7. Walk away before she does. Many men give women unlimited time and space to make up their minds. They wait, hope, and stick around like loyal puppies, thinking, if I just stay patient, maybe she'll finally pick me. This mindset keeps so many men stuck chasing women who have already lost interest. You need to wake up and understand, something simply your time is valuable. The longer you sit waiting on a decision, the more power you give away. And the more power you give away, the less attractive you become. Women are drawn to men who don't wait for permission to live their lives. When you walk away before she decides, you flip the entire dynamic. You show her that you're not waiting for her validation, not desperate for her attention. You have standards. You're willing to give her a window of opportunity, but you're not going to sit there endlessly while she explores her options. Here's where most men fail. They confuse patience with weakness. Yes, confidence means being calm and not needy, but confidence also means knowing when to walk away. You don't hang around hoping she eventually see your value. You show your value by being willing to leave if she's not matching your interest. When a woman sees you have the strength to walk away even if she hasn't made up her mind yet, it sends a powerful message. She realizes she can lose you. That fear of loss creates urgency, and urgency often sparks the very attraction you've been hoping for. Men need to stop acting like they have unlimited time to waste. Every moment spent waiting on a woman who won't commit is time you could use to meet someone who will. The longer you stay on standby, the more you damage your own confidence, and women can sense that weakness from a mile away. By walking away first, you protect your value. You send the signal that you are the prize, not the one chasing it. This forces her to evaluate her own behavior and make a decision. Many times when you remove yourself, that's when she finally realizes what she's losing. If she doesn't care that you walked away, great, you saved yourself months or even years of wasted energy. But if she does care and starts chasing you, congratulations, you've got the upper hand. Men need to stop waiting and start leading. Attraction isn't about sitting still, it's about knowing when to give and when to step away. That's real strength. Attraction isn't about being perfect, it's about understanding power. Here's the truth many men resist. A woman often becomes attracted to the man who gives her the most to lose. Not the man who tries the hardest, not the one who waits the longest, but the man who shows her his life moves on with or without her. That level of self-respect changes everything. It creates tension, and tension creates desire. Too many men have been brainwashed into thinking they must prove themselves endlessly to women who haven't earned them. You don't need to prove anything. You need to position yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Share your experiences, struggles, or questions. I read every single comment and personally respond to as many as I can. Your story might just help another man going through the same thing. We're building something different here. Not just another dating channel, but a community where men sharpen each other, learn, and take back control of the game. You're not alone in this, but you do have to wake up.